Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast, podcast number 134. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the evening of Thursday, July the 18th, from the James Strong Studio in Western St. Charles County. It's only been 2 months, but I think it was time to have the Greyfalcon back in the studio. So we have the one, the only, Mr. James Greyfalcon. How are you, sir?
Hey, fine. How you doing?
Good, good. I thought about you this week. We had a bit of an exchange on Facebook, a conversation, which is rare to have nowadays.
Right.
We didn't talk about one another's mothers. We didn't talk about our history. We said, this is this is that. We had a couple of people chime in.
About with Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a good conversation.
Right.
And that's why I like to have you on, because even though we may disagree, which is fine, you're not a name caller, you're not a bomb thrower, and you're going to speak your mind with a smile, like a typical Midwestern guy. That's why we like to do this Midwestern version of the intellectual dark web, where we don't fight, we don't argue, we discuss. And
Which is funny because I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
What
part of New Jersey, by the way? I have to ask.
It's Monmouth County. It's close to Asbury Park.
Okay.
It's like northern Jersey.
Okay.
North central Jersey.
Yeah, that's north of Newark, right?
No, it's south of Newark.
South of Newark?
It's about 45 minutes south of Newark.
Where is it in relationship to, say, New Brunswick?
About half hour.
South still?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about how long it took to get there. From where we were, because we were kind of close to the beach.
Okay.
So
closer to Somerset, maybe?
We were, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So New Brunswick, we didn't go there that much. So it might have been about, I know that all that stuff was north of us.
Sure.
So we would normally go to Newark, went to Brunswick once in a while, Essex to see a movie.
Okay.
But we mainly passed all that stuff by and went to New York. So we really didn't spend a lot of time in North Jersey. You know,
Sure.
There's Hackensack and all that stuff up there, Patterson. We didn't mess with that stuff. So, I mean, I'm assuming it's about 45 minutes or so.
Okay. Yeah, because I spent a lot of time in New Jersey last year and a half with a customer.
I know Newark was 45 minutes away because that was the only airport.
Exactly.
So that's the only one I remember.
Quite possibly the worst airport in the country, by the way. LAX may be worse only because it's bigger and less efficient, but to be fair, they're building a new airport. Should be ready 2021, I think. Yep. So, but you're a Midwestern guy now. How long?
I claim the Midwest 100%. I claim St. Louis.
Exactly. And what we wanted to talk about, and I assume that the way this normally works is we'll start on a subject and we'll go off on tangents.
Absolutely.
Because that's just kind of how it works.
Right.
And it has to do with the election. And you're thinking, oh, my God, Strong, come on. The election is, we're still 2 years away. What are you doing? But you know what? There's a huge Democratic field. 20 people, something close to that anyway, or maybe
somewhere between 20 and 540.
I think so. I think some are old school and have been around for a while. Some are new players, and I think will matter when the smoke clears. Others, we've not heard of them, nor will we ever hear of them. But looking at the list, the ones that get me, I won't use the term excited, because the last time I got excited about a politician was Ronald Reagan. Okay. I've not been excited about a politician since then. But I'm at least interested in some of these folks because, and mainly because they're different. Not Donald Trump different, but just different. Whereas they're centrists. They have a different way of looking at things, and they're plugged in a little bit, but they haven't been plugged in for the last 45 years. Okay. They're not lifelong politicians. In fact, many of them are so young that you can't say they've been in politics for 20 years because they were in school 20 years ago. Okay.
Right.
But what if we went through the list real quick and mainly just you could give your opinion about the Democratic candidates and not, I listed them in no particular order, but let's start with, I guess I would say the forerunner, Joe Biden.
Okay.
What do you think about him? Do you think he's even got a chance, or?
I think he's gonna be the nominee.
I would be shocked if you were wrong.
And I believe he's going to get some Republican votes in the primary process. I think. I didn't think so before, but now looking at what's going on, I think he's going to be the nominee.
I do too. I mean, he's 76. Maybe that's too old. I don't know, but he's.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it means anything nowadays. You can be a young 76 or an old 56. Okay, but he was Obama's vice president. I have to think he'll take a little of that legacy.
Well, not only that, but I think that, we talked about this earlier. Joe Biden. So my opinion of Joe Biden is I'm not excited about him, but I like the fact that and this doesn't get covered a lot. He tells Democrats, man, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Medicare for all is a stupid idea. Are you in favor of Medicare for all?
If we can find a way to pay for it, yes.
Yeah, and I'm in favor of the St. Louis Cardinals winning the World Series. They could find a way of not being so mediocre.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a big if. We don't have a way to pay for it.
Right.
Which is what Joe Biden says. Mm-hmm. And Bernie Sanders is like, yeah, that's not true. He's lying to you. Yeah. And Bernie Sanders has never met a policy he could explain clearly.
To be fair, Bernie Sanders walks and talks and acts like a socialist. And he raises his hand and says, I'm a socialist. So I respect him for that. But no, most of his ideas,
right.
They're
so,
not
I think Joe Biden, to me, he seems like if the Democrats want to have a chance, in my opinion, I think that that's the person that they would. He's not my first choice, but he's closer to the top. Like most of this field, I'll tell you right now before you get started.
Mm-hmm. And we're not going to go through all 517.
Yeah.
By the way.
Let's just say that I watched the two debates, and there was this DNC card that I just got in the mail.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
"What's an NC card?"
They're trying to get money from me.
DNC.
DNC card.
Okay.
DNC card.
Okay, got it.
And I was looking at it and looking at the TV, and I'm just like, this is really bad timing. Because I thought those debates were awful. But anyway, you can keep going through the lists.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Biden, I think I agree with you. I think he's going to be the nominee. And the reason that I think he's going to be the nominee may surprise you. Ever since, I'm going to go way, way back. Forget about Ronald Reagan, because as we said off the air, to me, that's the last candidate I got excited about was Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm. George Bush ran, and basically he was riding on Reagan's coattails. If you like 8 years of Reagan, you'll like 8 years of Bush. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he was a disappointment. Mm-hmm. And then he lost. He wasn't reelected. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton beat him. Mm-hmm. And we had 8 years of Bill Clinton, who basically took a poll and voted accordingly, mm-hmm. ruled accordingly, right. Managed accordingly. So he was wishy-washy, just like Bush. Mm-hmm. Then we had another Bush. Same thing, a disappointment, because, again, he did this, he did that, and then finally we had Barack Obama, who the big thing about Barack Obama was, you know what? This isn't a Clinton. This isn't a Bush. This isn't another Bush. This is a guy who's fairly new. He's young. He's a good orator, which, Bush 43 was not. And he's kind of unplugged from the system. He hasn't been on the national scene long enough, mm-hmm. so he's going to be the fresh face. He was elected, and we got a whole lot of the same again. And for 8 years. And I think that's why this country elected Trump.
Absolutely.
Because he was the anti all that.
Now, we're still getting a lot of the same,
but not if you look at a Twitter account. No president's ever done that, and a lot of people.
Yeah, but that's not tangible. Look at the budget.
Oh no, it's not. Well, the budget is what was the figure I read? 18% higher than Obama's last budget. 18%. That's a lot.
It's a lot higher.
Huge.
We've had a 23% increase in the deficit with a 3% increase in revenue.
Yeah,
that's under Republican Senate.
Yeah,
looks like this. Looks like a lot of the same to me.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is Trump acted differently than the other guys. He didn't act. And a lot of people who voted for Trump thought, you know what? We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to do that. We wanted something different.
That didn't happen.
Well, I think the reason Biden has a good chance is because, you know what? Maybe we didn't want something.
Maybe we should chill out here. Yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
Biden is not going to get on Twitter and say, anything like that. He's probably not going to get on Twitter, period. Okay. He's going
Joe Biden, don't go on Twitter. Stay off Twitter, dude.
But I think that's why he has a good chance.
I agree. Which is one of the things I kind of like about him. He's kind of, I won't say he's boring, but he's just like,
boring.
He's just a regular politician. He's not trying to tell you he's anti-establishment because nobody in this field is anti-establishment.
There might be one. What's her name?
You talking about Gabbard?
No, the psychic.
Oh,
what's her name?
Marianne Williamson?
Yeah.
I think she's an establishment psychic. I don't know. No, she's cool though. She is fun. She was just like,
well, so is Pee Wee Herman, but are you going to election?
Wait a minute. Can't talk about that guy.
I like him.
I know, but Pee Wee Herman's on the list.
Okay.
He's on the list. We got to take Kevin Spacey off the list, though.
That's right.
There's a list. There's a list.
Yes. And Kevin Spacey, I guess, are they going to go ahead and redo the movie about that they put Christopher Plummer
We
in?
have to find where first. We have to go to
those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the guy who accused Kevin Spacey of molesting him has kind of backed off and pled the fifth, and the charges have all been dropped.
But we have to go to the Justice Police and determine if we have the right to remove the accuser is always right order against Kevin Spacey, because that's the rule in the part of the left that's attacking Joe Biden.
Right.
And is that you're accused, you're guilty.
Right.
Which is an utterly ridiculous concept that is perpetuated amongst some circles in the left.
Yeah.
And it's
like the whole deal,
ridiculous.
The whole deal where he would put his arm around people and whisper in their ear and smell their hair.
You talking about Joe Biden?
Yes.
I mean that's what you're talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Those were bogus charges.
Yeah.
None of those people ever stated that he was sexually attacking them.
No,
so they fabricated this thing like, oh, he invaded their space, and it's an example of a man in a different time. And they're like, oh, well, no, I didn't feel like it was sexual. I just think it's a little weird. Okay, but that's not what you said before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dishonest.
Yeah. And that's something that's happened. It started probably about 5 or 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe, where if you don't like somebody, you don't say, I mean, if I don't like the way somebody does something, I don't like so-and-so because they did this, they said that, and they acted like this. I don't like them for that. But instead we want to paint him with a broad brush and say, well, he's a racist. Well, he's obviously bigoted. Well, he's obviously homophobic. Well, he's obviously fill in the blank. And then everyone says, yeah. And then the guy or gal, they're sunk. They're sunk. And you can't do that. In this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. If you want to accuse somebody of doing something like that, you better be able to back it up.
Absolutely.
Perfect example is Sean Hannity. I've told this story before. When they were jumping all over Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly, they brought Sean Hannity into it. This gal says, hey, he was sexually impropriety with me.
Yeah. Harassed him.
Yes. And he said, really? You need to retract that statement or back it up, or I am going to sue you. And bang, she dropped it like that. And nobody has accused Sean Hannity of that again. Now, Bill O'Reilly, who I loved on the air, I respect him.
He's busted.
To say I was innocent, okay, you're innocent, but you and Ailes paid $100 million to shut people up.
Yeah,
I don't care how much money you have. If you're paying $100 million to shut people up, you're guilty.
You did it.
Yeah, you did.
Yourself, yeah.
And the thing about O'Reilly that gets me is he's talented, he's driven, he's on the ball, but has absolutely no game with women, obviously. I mean,
well, he's worse than that. He obviously had some kind of a problem.
He must have,
because he was married or had been married at one point. You know.
Yeah,
so that's a problem.
His wife left him for a police officer, so she left all that money and now lives a very common,
but says she's
existence.
Way happier.
Yeah, she doesn't have the money. She never asked for a bunch of money from him. No. She never went after him in the press. So that tells me.
The only thing I ever saw is like they finally got up and she says, "I'm happier."
Yeah,
and didn't attack him or nothing.
Yeah, but this whole thing of attacking people and just throwing stuff at them, throwing something on the wall to see if it'll stick. And if it sticks a little bit, they're obviously guilty.
And that really kind of runs into the theme that you discussed with me is what's wrong with the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. There's something very wrong with the Republican Party, make no mistake.